One. So 10 at 10's back again. Building a leadership pipeline in your business. So we think in terms of all of these other things, but have we really thought that one through early enough? So welcome to the show. We're going to discuss key strategies for building a strong leadership pipeline in your business. We're going to dive into some steps. We're going to have some insights shared. And we're going to have Ramone Ware on the show today. So he's going to be sharing all of his industry experience with us. So let's go. Good morning, everyone. So, Paula Mattisonsierra, I'm the owner of Power Marketing SF and your host for 10 at 10. So, this morning I have Ramon Ware coming in on the show. The growth coach of San Jose.
Yeah,
Good
Paula.
morning, sir. How are
Good
you doing
morning.
today?
I'm doing great, and you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm always trying to make it a sunny day, you know.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
So thanks for so much for being on the show. I'm always so very humbled when folks give me their time to share
Mhm.
with other business owners. So
Right.
listen, we're gonna jump right into it. I think of growth in terms of revenue, but you're going to be sharing today about growth and building a pipeline in other areas. Talk to me about that.
They always say when you start something, you begin with the end in mind.
Oh
And
God.
so when you do that, one of the things you got to think about is how do you want this business to continue on long after you're gone? And so
Mm,
the best way to do that is to build a leadership pipeline within your business so that you can take that vacation, so that you can retire, so that you can sell the business and get a high valuation for it because you have pieces in place that that business is going to continue for a long time and you have the right people in those positions.
I love that. It's like that's by the way, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. It's my Bible. I'm loving you already, Raymond. But tell me, what size does a business have to be to start this plan? I mean, when you're first starting, you're in survival mode, right? You're pushing it, right? When is a good time to really start thinking about this?
When you start to get to about 30 to 50 employees, you now are starting to build a layer of people within your business that are working hard for you. And so, one of the things I like to say is that when you find those high achieving development candidates, the best thing you can do is prepare them for their career, prepare them for the next step, prepare them, to take on that supervisory or maybe even that management position. And so I think a lot of times when we're 30, 35, we're just everybody's just doing. Everybody's working hard. They're just getting through the day. But sometimes you have to step back and take that strategic look and go, okay, we're all getting through the day, but how can we get there and develop our people and build a culture that people will want to stay with us and really work with us for the long term?
Well, so well said, sir. I know I'm going to cut in here, but
Mhm.
I see you're playing in the background. I see wine in the background. You had mentioned kind of slightly that, no, this is my life. This is what I've done.
Mhm.
So are there any shareable insights from your experience that you can share with us that got you on this path of why you're doing it? I'm sure you've seen a lot.
Well, I graduated from the Air Force Academy, and then after that, I flew for about 9.5 years, the MC-130. Shout out to my peeps, uh, and we did. And through that experience, one of the things I learned is I learned a lot about small teams and how they really work, and that you know you have to really get in there. There's always got to be a leader, but at the end of the day, we all are providing our inputs. I left the military and then went into corporate America, and I started in the wine industry. And so the wine industry was great because I started at Gallo, which is the leadership engine for the wine industry. I like to call it that.
I didn't know that.
Because
Okay.
what you'll find is there was a book written years ago called The Leadership Engine. And I love that book because it really framed how business can survive the long term. And the Gallos have been in business for a long time. And one of the things we learned is that most of the people who worked at Gallo are now work through other businesses in the wine industry in leadership positions because they had that experience. And so I like to reach out. I call it the it's the Gallo alumni network. And so you can always reach out to someone in a different company and say, "Oh yeah, I remember you. We used to work together." And it's amazing from that perspective. But companies like Coca-Cola, AT&T, they have what we call a leadership engine. And so they develop their talent, and then that talent may move to other places in the industry, but it also helps build the entire industry up when you do that. And
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of it as you're also building your network as well by being willing to share that information with your underlings as well, because they're going to go on to larger positions
Right.
eventually. And so it would be great to have those connections as well. How can a business establish a clear leadership development strategy to ensure like a seamless pipeline, a
Mhm.
seamless path in their company?
I like to say it all starts with the culture of the company.
Mm,
Uh, you know, a lot of times in some companies, they have what I would call more of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And so a fixed mindset would say that, the people in my company, my workers they are where they are.
mm,
And to develop them would be, something where I'd be wasting money.
mm.
Right. And
Yeah.
so they go out and they hire talent. You go find talent, you bring it in, and their talent is now your leadership team. Uh, I would say that's a high risk strategy because when you hire someone from someone else, you don't know if that person is really talented or not. You
Mm,
hire them for talent, but you're not necessarily in the know with how well they are. As opposed to a company that has a growth mindset where you take people who come in and they learn different facets of your business and they grow within your business and they start to develop and think more along the lines of, well, how can I prepare this person to be a manager? Well, let's do this. Let's do X, Y, and Z.
yeah.
They have mentor programs, they have all things like that to help that person develop within their career. And as that person moves into higher positions, you're now getting people in those positions that really understand the industry, that really understand what's going on inside of your business. And to
Mm,
me, the two strategies, when you talk about that leadership engine, the leadership engine really focuses on that growth mindset for your leadership pipeline.
no, absolutely. I have to say that was the best experience that I had at G when I was with GE.
Hmm.
They had such a massive mentorship program, because they'd rather look inside than outside first. So why not grow what they already have?
Hmm.
And I'd never been with a company like that until that moment. It was a wonderful experience to have. You felt like the company actually cared about your moving forward. So it was wonderful, and they paired you with a mentor as well. So it was just really impressive at how they their internal structure is run. um, are there any key qualities and skills, to grow an organization? Do they need a Ramone Ware coming in to help them? What does it look like?
Well, one of the things I found, I found this transcript of the McKinsey McKinsey Talks Talent podcast, and it was very interesting from the standpoint of, you know what, uh, over the past 30 years, companies have been flatter, faster, leaner, and more agile. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and so one of the things that you learn in Lean is it's not all about trying to do more with less. But a lot of people assume that. when you say lean or agile or flatter, they think, oh, we're going to do more with less. And to me, that's the wrong assumption, because I worked on a project where we were able to, save over $10 million by hiring two extra people because we were and think of it this way: when wine comes in, it gets processed, and so the grapes would come in, they would set it aside until the rest of the harvest was done before they continued processing the wines.
Okay.
If we hired two extra people, we could continue to process that wine throughout the harvest season, which now allowed us to move up our transition dates for our wines.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, wow, that's big, because you have 1 year where you don't have to buy so much extra to cover that extra time.
I feel like you're talking to me right now, like you know my business. And
And that really is when we talk lean and when we talk that type of scenario, it's
yeah.
about having the proper resources at the right time at the right place.
Mm,
And people forget that. And so what we've seen in a lot of companies, because they went flatter, faster, doing more with less, is that the executive level is doing more work, more day-to-day work. And also the managers, that middle tier, has somewhat vanished.
yeah.
And we have people who are brand new managers that may get promoted way earlier than what our generation had to go through. And so what they
Mm,
lose is they lose that time of development where they really start to dig in and say, well, this is what a manager should be. This is the type of manager I want to be when I get that opportunity.
absolutely.
And if people don't have that time to really think and prepare, when they get thrown into that position, what do? They flail, at least for 2 years,
Yeah.
until they
Yeah.
really get their feet underneath them.
Yeah.
And so when you have a leadership pipeline, you take your development candidates and you prepare them for that next step. So when they hit the ground running on day one, they have an idea of who they
Oh,
want to be and how
oh,
they want to be, and
oh,
they can just start running from there. And so I
yeah.
like to say, because executives are so busy, you need to leverage third party. You can easily leverage third party coaching to help
Mhm.
those people and prepare them for that next step. And so that's where I like to say, building your leadership pipeline is all about your culture, and making sure you strategically think through and build that leadership pipeline and prepare people for their next step.
Oh, wow. When I was coming out of college, I remember it was like, which management training program were you going to go into? And I
Mhm.
felt like by the time we really kind of got our step out there, those programs had all but disappeared,
Right.
and of course, that shrinking middle started happening where you had underlings and you had senior level and not a lot of people in the middle. So it's always interesting to hear that. Um, how can a business strike that right balance though between developing an internal person, developing someone from within, but also bringing in external talent as well? Because you may have to do that, right? but
Correct.
but
Correct.
what does that look like?
It really, and like I said, begin with the end in mind.
uh,
I find that when you work with a lot of, business owners, they start with the people. Well, this person would make a great so and so, but they haven't really defined the position. And so you
mm,
have to define the position and the organization first, and then you go out and put the people and figure out, can this person get to where they need to be to fill this position. And so it's just a little backwards, because we're so, as business owners, we know our people are the best things, that they are the business. Our people drive the business, and we always want to have great people, but sometimes we have to make sure that we know what we're looking for. And then if you know that, and you know that your internal candidate, and you work with them and they're just not going to get to where you need them to be, that's a
mhm.
great opportunity to go out and then find talent. But when you find that talent, you know what questions to ask because you've already defined the position.
Yeah, I love that. I love the simplicity at which you lay this out. It's like, wait, I should have known that. We should have known that. As I always love thinkers who come in and just offer that clear perspective to you, And that's why you bring a consultant in, right?
Right.
Because sometimes you know all the pieces, but for someone to just go, hey, guys, did you see that? Oh, it's like, oh, okay, damn it. Like, how did we miss that? The roof was falling in.
Right.
It's like, I love that about bringing in a consultant. How can our listeners begin to adapt their own leadership process strategies? Can you give us some hard, like maybe three things, top three things that, we already started with one, which is begin with the end in mind,
Mhm.
right? Really take a peek at where you want to be. Once you have that kind of squared away or almost squared away, I don't think that part can ever be perfect. That's an
Right.
evolving thing, right? But what are two other tidbits that you could give us today?
What type of culture do you want in your organization? And this goes back to that. Do you want an organization that has a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset? And understand that with that growth mindset, you're going to have to invest more in your people. You're going to have to help them get to where you want them to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, to me, begin with the end in mind, determine what type of culture you want, and then finally, it is: do you want an organization that takes action, or do you want an organization that really spends more time talking about work than actually doing it? And so, in a lot of the companies that I've been in where they've really grown really fast,
Yeah.
it was because there was a focus on taking action. You're not always going to get it right, but at least we made a decision and started down the path and we figured it out as we were going down that path.
Yeah.
So that's part of that culture as well, right? And so it really starts at the top. What leadership focuses on is what everyone else focuses on. I like to tell business owners this one thing: if you don't focus on what's important, no one else will.
Mm.
And so that clarity and knowing what you want to focus on is the vital part of thinking strategically and strategically driving your business.
Oh, I love that. This world that we're in right now, Ramon. I mean, I thought when we went through COVID, that was like a big old change. Then we went through another one. I mean, it's just been like we're doing the joyride right now.
Right.
And of course, we're in another weird place right now. How important is it to constantly evaluate those plans? So if we had one end that we decided on, is it reasonable to change it 3 months later, 6 months later?
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. Because you don't know what you don't know. And as you start to take action, that's when you start to find things out. And the other piece too, if you don't have that focus and clarity, in today's world, there's so much information that we always get blindsided with the next shiny object.
Mm,
And you say, okay, we're going to work on this. Oh, wait a second, this is something we should. And then before you know it, you've lost focus, and you end up going all over the place, right?
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
to me, that's one of the biggest issues in corporate America is that there's so much information. The next shiny object comes,
Mm,
and you're always chasing it, and that's fine, but you have to at least try and learn as much as possible when you set your original path.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it may not work out, but you switch, you pivot. You're always pivoting.
yeah. But you're also learning on the path too, you
Exactly.
know? It's like, okay, well, that didn't work. That part of it didn't work. Let's redo it again and fix that one part, right? So you're constantly
Yeah.
evolving. I call
That-
it the a shiny object syndrome, by the way, with the goldfish,
right.
the goldfish syndrome. Because I don't know if you're a fisher, if you ever go fishing, but they're looking this way, a shiny object. You put that
Yeah.
right on your hook, It's like, what? This a shiny object and a worm? Give me 2 seconds. I'm going over there, right? But a lot of people do run their businesses like that, especially now, right? I mean, technology is moving at such, I feel like it's even with on the marketing side, because we see so much technology, um, we're, I feel like we're 5 years ahead of where I thought we would be,
Hmm.
like at this point. And so as the snowball's rolling down the hill, it's like really picking up speed. So it's one of those things where you have to embrace change. Side question:
Hmm.
in what case would you not want to adapt change too easily? Um, yeah, in what case would you not want to adapt change too easily?
There's always that. You always be. Some people want to be on the leading edge of everything,
Yeah.
right? I like to call it the bleeding edge
Ooh.
because they go first and they have all the obstacles and they have to figure it out. But you've seen those fast followers,
Mm,
companies like Clorox or companies like Procter and Gamble. They may not come out first, but they're fast followers, and then they are able to grow their businesses that way.
yeah.
Uh, and it just depends on your own comfort level with that, right? Uh,
Mm, yeah.
as a business owner, you are the culture of your business, and the way you approach things is how all the people who work for you are going to approach things. And
Yeah.
so if you're on that, you want to be on that leading edge of everything, then your company is going to be there. And so, you know, you're going to take all those cuts that come with being the first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna starting with my next episode. I'm
Mhm.
planning, because our show is 10 of 10. Everyone, I'm planning to ask 10 questions of my guests.
Mhm.
And so I'm not going to hit you with 10 fast speed questions, right? Ramon's like, oh lordy lord. So she's like, we have 7 8 minutes. Like, what is she gonna do? But what I'm going to ask my current guest is, if you could give me a question for the next guest, my number 10 question for my guests, about why it is that they do what they do, something in that ballpark, or something from your own experience, just asking business owner to business owner. What would that question be?
I think it would be right now, artificial intelligence is a big thing. Everyone and their mother is talking about it, right? And so the one question that always I get a lot of varied responses from is, they got this thing called artificial intelligence. How is it going to impact you and your business? And you get so many different answers from that. But what it does is, I like to, my tagline for my business is change your questions, improve your business.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And sometimes it's that one question that you start to think about and ruminate over that may be the spark that helps you grow your business, 10x.
Mm,
And so to me, with that, with artificial intelligence being where it's at and being such a, it seems like it's going to be a big disruptor. Who
yeah.
knows? But if it is, it's something that strategically every business owner really needs to start thinking about and understanding as best they can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And who knows where it's going to be? I think it could be a friend. But as always, we know this. The nets is a great idea, but of course there are people who use it for nefarious reasons. I mean, the atomic bomb, I'm not sure they realized it until they used it. Just looking at the Oppenheimer bio,
Hmm.
the trailer the other day, it was directly from his own autobiography of him said, like, you couldn't know until you actually get started.
Right.
So he was asked a question in a press conference: can this in fact, at a snap, kill and destroy American cities? And he's like, I have to say yes, that literally that's what we created. And it's like, but of course you're in the experiment, right? It works, but until even gunpowder, I heard, was invented to for safety of minors, right?
Hmm.
And then, of course, someone took it and ran with it in an interesting direction, right? Weaponized it. So these things are wonderful ideas that could be so helpful to us. I always kind of pose the question, how can it help you to become a better human? Like, is there anything that you want to do better, improve? Maybe that's a question that you can pop in as well, and frame the question specifically to you, and just see what it pull because it's pulling all that's it can find.
Right.
What can it bring back to you as well? So I'll definitely do that. Uh, Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. So guys, listen, please reach out to our guests if you want to hear more. Um, uh, Remote, do you have a newsletter, blog, or something like that so people can stay in touch with you?
I do actually. I do have a newsletter that you can, or you can always reach me on my website.
Oh,
It is
okay.
thegrowthcoach.com / san dash Jose dash South.
Okay. All right, definitely. I still love the title, the growth coach of. It just feels like I should go the growth coach of San Jose. I'm like, I'm branding you. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. That's the way it works, people. We help each other. We're a hive mind. Don't judge. Don't judge. You're sitting at your desk. You should be working right now. Thanks for watching the show, by the way. So our continued mission statement is to introduce you to what I like to call everyday experts, business owners. I'm surrounded by them. We see all these big iconic players, but we're not seeing what we call regular guys who just kick butt every day, and they have a wealth of information that we can share with each other. Of course, as always, I like to share marketing tips, tricks to inspire you to move your business forward. We air every Thursday at 10 a.m. on LinkedIn Live. This was not pre-recorded perfectly. This was live. You can also catch it up on YouTube as well. So please reach out, share, like, post. Um, I usually like to end the show with a quote. Ramon, do you have anything that you can share to close out our show today?
I do. I'm a 49er fan. And so
Uh-oh.
Jerry Rice once said this: Today I will do what others won't. So tomorrow I will do what others can't.
Love that. I love that. I love that. That's huge. So guys, you have it. You have a statement to roll through your day today. Thank you so much, viewers. You continue to amaze me. I'm just so appreciative of your time and you sharing this video. Stay strong, keep moving forward. And as always, thank you so much. Okay. Thanks again, Ramon. Thanks for being on the
Thank you,
show.
Paula. I
Take
appreciate
care,
it.
everyone.
Take
Okay,
care.
bye.